All right, so the old theory was everything at Harbor Freight is garbage. If you're going to buy it, you buy it just as a temporary thing. My theory was if I buy it and I break it in a fair amount of time, then I'm going to replace it with a better quality tool. Nowadays, you have a lot of options. You have like things like DeWalt, Milwaukee, some of those other brands, and you might say to yourself, they're almost as much, they're about as, a little bit more money than the Harbor Freight Bauer or some of the other ones, and you know, it's a better quality tool, and I'm not going to deny that. In the old days, you had your Craftsman. Really they were good tools back in the old days, but I think that's been sliding over the last few years. Or if you're a tradesman, automotive mechanics, I mean, there's always been Snap-on. The thing about Snap-on that was always good is the convenience of the Snap-on truck coming to your location. And when they come to your location, that was the whole reason for buying from them. They were very expensive, and the quality tools were really good, but they were really overpriced in my opinion. So I'm in the sign industry. I do some non-related, I do some sign installation, but mostly painting regarded signs to nothing. I don't paint signs, but I do wall repair and stuff like that. And so I do use some power tools, not a ton of them. I don't use them every day, all the time. So I'm going to tell you what my experience has been with other brands and also the Harbor Freight. What's changed in the last few years. In the early days, I used to buy a lot of like DeWalt and before they even had the Milwaukee stuff, I used to buy a lot of that stuff because it was really good quality. But then one time, my trailer got broken into, and everything that was name brand, DeWalt, Milwaukee, Porter Cable, anything else was gone. All my Harbor Freight stuff was still there. So brand names became less of a priority to me. Mostly it was, listen, if I have to run down and buy all new stuff, how many times am I going to do that before I've really lost a ton of money? So I've started buying some more Harbor Freight stuff, and then along with that, the quality of the tools started to get better. So like the house brand stuff that is unbranded or has maybe Warrior on it really isn't the greatest quality, but stuff like these Bremen, honestly, these are just as good to me as the Irwin ones or these Crescent ones. And then they came out with these Bauer tools, and a lot of guys are telling me, hey, for a few dollars more I can get a Milwaukee. Well, if I add up the whole set of everything that I have in Bauer, it'd be almost twice as much money as what I paid for the Bauer ones in Milwaukee. The issue that I have with those is, really when you're doing a lot of stuff with these, you need a lot of batteries, and the Bauer batteries are fairly inexpensive compared to, they're about half the price of the Milwaukee. Now the good thing about Milwaukee is you get a 5-year guarantee, but the problem with that is you have to send that tool in to get it warrantied. With a Harbor Freight Bauer, even though it may not last as long, it may not be quite as good a quality, I can just run into Harbor Freight and just buy a new one. For instance, this thing's only $40. I think the Milwaukee's about $100. Then a nice thing about the Bauer tools, they interchange the battery, so I can go down, like I bought this little leaf blower thing for job sites. It's really cool to clean up real quick with, and I can use the battery in all the different ones. I can buy literally 10 batteries for, again, about half the price of the Milwaukee ones, and have a ton of them on the charger. And as far as that goes, it's kind of inexpensive to have all those batteries. I have a friend who has the Milwaukee setup, and he has one of those giant chargers with 10 batteries on it. I mean, I don't know how much those are, but it was pretty darn expensive. And when the batteries go out, you can ship them in. They'll replace them or fix them for you and send them back from Milwaukee. But again, you're out the battery for that amount of time. So as long as it takes to send that in, the hassle of packaging it up and sending it into them and then getting it back, to me, I can just run down to Harbor Freight, buy another battery for $40 or $50 or whatever they cost now, They have raised their prices a bit, so it's been a little bit argumentative. But overall, again, the quality has gone up with their tools. The old stuff I used to get was completely garbage. You'd buy a drill, it'd last a couple days, and you'd have to throw it away. Now, you know, I've used this thing here. This one here is kind of a new one. I have another one of these. I bought 2 of them. They had a sale on a set where I got this, I think this, and a circular saw, and 2 chargers, a bunch of batteries. I forget. It was like $200. You can't get that in Milwaukee. Again, you're getting possibly a better tool. You know, I had the Honda EU 2000 generator for a long time. I had that about 4 years. Within 4 years, one of the valves in the engine stuck. Yeah, it looked kind of like this one. It sat in the back of the truck. This one's the same way, sat in the back of the truck. About 4 years now. I've had no problems with it. The Honda, the valve stuck in the engine. I had to take it apart, unstick the valve. I changed the oil off and on it. Still didn't matter. That's an issue with that generator. After I did that, maybe about 6 months later, the whole thing almost caught fire. So, and I spent over $1,000 on that generator versus this thing here, about $500. Does the same thing, about the same amount of noise, and about the same. It actually has better power, even though it's only rated at 13.3 amps. I put stuff on here that's more than 15 amps, and it's ran it just fine. And if I had to reset it, all I do is push this button. The Honda, I had to turn the engine off, start it back up. Really was a pain. Another thing that came out pretty nice is these Icon hand tools. These Icon hand tools really, with some of the things that they have, compare really closely to my Snap-on stuff that I had many years ago. Again, I stopped buying the Snap-on because the reason is because, you know, it was a convenience thing. Really, the reason I bought Snap-on is because the Snap-on guy was there. If I didn't buy from him when I was a mechanic, he would stop showing up. And sometimes I needed him to show up because there are certain tools that they have that nobody else has. So that's really the advantage to Snap-on. Their quality is good, but they're really, really, really overpriced. These Icon sockets and Icon wrenches and stuff that they have now are absolutely some of the best quality stuff I've seen yet. And they actually just totally blow away the Craftsman, and a little more expensive than even the Craftsman ones. But, you know, they really are really good quality. I'm going to be switching over to a lot of these now. So one of the best advantages to Harbor Freight is if I had an EU 2000 on this lock, you know, good chances it'd get ripped off. But when it says Predator on it, nobody touches it. So it's always there. I've got one of these old SK sets. These are really good quality for wrenches. And I got all my Harbor Freight ones just kind of dangling around in here. But these old SK sets were really good, but the problem with them is trying to get them warranted. If I ever had a problem, you know, it was difficult. You had to send it in the mail or something to them to get it warranted. Really good quality wrench. So part of the thing is the service. So one of the things that Harbor Freight does, which reminds me of the old Craftsman. When you used to go to Sears, you could just take it back. They give you one right away. If I have a problem with one of their tools, I take it in, get another one, it's done. It's not a hassle like some of the other things. You know, like I said, when you buy the Milwaukee, you got to send it in the mail. You have a Craftsman or you have a Snap-on tool, you have to send it in the mail to them. They send it back to you. Kind of a hassle. Harbor Freights are everywhere. You can return them. So again, you know, I'm thinking more Harbor Freight than I ever have before, even though the prices have gone up. For many years, it was this right here. It's all about just going to Sears. Do miss Sears, wish they were still around, but you know, things change. So I used to take these, buy these little sets and things, and then go back. One of the things I always found was kind of irritating about them, though, is they always had certain sizes that I always have missing out of them. Remember that? Used to drive me crazy. I'll tell you something, if you don't have a set of these Doyle cutters right here, oh man, these things are awesome. They can just cut through anything so fast, so easy. Some of these, like I said, the brands like Doyle, Titanium, Bremen, Bauer. Don't forget about Earthquake. They're actually pretty good. Some people rag on me because I got the Earthquake ratchet versus the Milwaukee. Milwaukee's just a few dollars more than this one. Again, the problem is the battery. First thing to go out on this tool is going to be the battery. And, you know, again, I can send that battery in to them. I can wait for however amount of time, but the whole time that I'm waiting for that battery, I don't have my tool. Can't use my tool. So I can just take this battery, throw it away, go down to Harbor Freight. I don't know, I think they're like 20 bucks. Buy another one, be back at work. So a lot of people think it's all about the quality. To me, it's a balance of a couple of things. You got a decent quality tool like this welder, decent quality. You can buy a warranty from them. You can take it down and return it immediately with almost no questions asked. They really don't even ask any questions. It's the convenience that Harbor Freights are pretty much in about every city in the United States, and they have pretty much a ton of different types of tools. The convenience of being able to go there, the warranty for their hand tools. And those of you guys who know, these old Craftsman, they weren't exactly the best quality wrenches they had. Again, if you use those SKs or you use some Snap-on wrenches, Mac, less spreading. There's things here we used to spread really easily. Quality wasn't that great, but the convenience of being able to go down and return them was what you bought them for. So I have a choice. I can buy one good quality grinder, or I can buy 5 junk Harbor Freight ones, even though these things aren't the greatest. We all know they aren't. And I can have one with a stripping wheel, one with a flap wheel, one with a cutoff wheel, and I don't have to keep interchanging them for about the same price as I get one good grinder. So again, sometimes it's about convenience, and that's what the whole thing was with Sears. That's why I buy a lot more Harbor Freight tools now. Their stuff used to be, a lot of it was really garbage. Now, with those brands, they're pretty usable. I have had less problems with them than I have with some of the better brands. And, you know, when you average it all out and you package it up with convenience, it's really not a bad deal. So that's why I buy Harbor Freight. All right, I'll talk to you guys in the next video. I'd like to see what you guys think, see your comments. Please like, share, and subscribe, and be sure to like the video so it can get some traction out there. Talk to you in the next one.